Hey, Star Wars fans, welcome to another edition of Rule the Galaxy. My name is Nick Shesky. I'm a co-host normally on the show, filling in for our fearless leader, Joe Molinaro, who is out tonight. But I promise you this is going to be an awesome show. And if you don't like this week, man, Joe will be back on next week and go listen to him. And if you like this week, then man, you're going to be so surprised how good it is next week when you tune back in. Check it out. Excited to talk some Star Wars tonight. We got a great panel of hosts, a lot to talk about. So I'll get out of the way. Let's introduce some of our normal reoccurring co-hosts. Since the little Zoom square is lighting up on him, Brent Dykman, how are you, buddy?
It must have been because I was jostling and moving around. So I'm gonna start off with something that's not the greatest, but I have to feel like I have to address it. But that's the only time I'm gonna say it. It's okay to like a character, to like or not like a character, but it's not okay to treat people and use language that's offensive. That I feel like if I don't address it and if I don't say it, then I'm allowing it to happen as well. And everybody has said their piece, but that's the way that I feel. And so I will start with that, and then I don't really want to bring it back up.
Yeah, I like that, Brent. I think that sets a good precedent for us moving into what we're doing. So moving on, Alfie, make sure that we keep it PG tonight on this podcast, please.
I'll do my best, but no guarantees.
How you doing?
Doing good, man. Loving this Kenobi show. I hate to realizing that it's halfway over now.
I know, that's so depressing. I watched it today and sat back, and a little part of me was like, oh no, it's like I'm running out of really good whiskey and it's all gone, and it's just a memory now. Mr. DDoc, how are you?
I'm doing good. I actually woke up at 6 o'clock this morning and watched Kenobi. And honestly, I brought coffee up to my wife, and she was like, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, "I'm watching Kenobi downstairs." I'm not a morning person. That's how much I'm enjoying the show. So,
wow, let's go. How's that little baby?
doing great. She was actually sleeping right before I came down here. So she's been doing good. She's been sleeping good. I've been sleeping good. I don't have to feed her right now. So,
man, let's go. Well, hey, fingers crossed that the baby stays down for you, baby stays down for me. And since we're talking about babies, we have a special guest with us tonight who's been on previous episodes that we've done regarding the Clone Wars and the Clone Wars Chronicles. But as we were putting the panel together, reached out to him, said, hey, come on, jump in. My roommate from college, Sam Caldwell, who has been rolling on Rule the Galaxy for a while now. Sam, so glad to have you. How the heck are you, dude? And I realized I said, speaking of babies, and I didn't give any context. You just had a baby. So tell us about your world and what's going on with you.
I'm the baby. That's why you invited me. I'm the baby. No, I'm good. I tried to watch Kenobi this morning, but ended up falling asleep. I was up at about 3. He's doesn't like to sleep at night so much unless he's held. So not getting a ton of sleep, but school year's over for me, and I'm glad Kenobi's here and just glad to be watching Star Wars. 2 days after we got home, I was like, all right, Phantom Menace, here we go. Little guy, welcome to the world.
That's awesome.
It's been great ever since.
I feel you, man. DDoc, Sam, we should get a text going, because it sounds like all of us at some point this morning were watching it with either a baby in our arms or almost falling asleep. I was up at 6 this morning with my kid on my chest because he wouldn't sleep, watching it and trying to engage, but also keep him happy. So, man, hey, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Great show. Before we jump into Kenobi, which I know is what we're here to talk about, specifically Kenobi 3, which came out this morning in the wee hours of the morning, we would be remiss if we didn't stop to talk about Celebration that just wrapped up this last weekend. Now, none of us were at Celebration, but I know from the group chat, we were all patiently, fervently watching our Twitter feeds, hoping to see something that would come. And there's been a ton that came out of Celebration, some that we're more excited about than others. And I understand we could do a whole episode tonight just on individual things. Like we could do one on Andor and we could do one on Fallen Order. But what I would love to do, just even with us as a crew here, is just talk about what were some of the highlights of what you saw coming out of Celebration. What's got you pumped up and excited and kind of sitting on the edge of your seat? Brent.
You guys didn't get the live stream links. I mean, I was like watching live streams of the celebration. I know that was an area of contention for a lot of people that they really didn't live stream it. Because I mean, that would have been nice. What I'm excited about, finally got Andor, and I really enjoyed the preview for Andor. Mon Mothma's smoking. She's a smoke show in her early days. I really liked what they were doing with the Imperials and the way the Imperials looked, especially in that like clean white room. So that was the one, and then there was a couple that took me by surprise. Probably the biggest surprise was the Jude Law special, or cartoon. I don't know exactly all what's going on, but that one has me the most intrigued.
That one's the Skeleton Crew, right?
Right.
Yeah, I believe. Yes. Yep.
Alfie, you know anything about Skeleton Crew
Absolutely nothing.
other than
haven't.
it's Jude Law?
Yeah. I'd heard
I think
about
it's
him being in a Star Wars project for a few months now, but that's the first time I've heard a title and I've read nothing what it's supposed to be about.
Right.
I thought it was supposed to be like kids, right? Like, isn't it like a kids? Go
No.
ahead, DDoc.
I read that it was kids like lost in the galaxy after Return of the Jedi. It takes place between right after that time period, and to me it honestly sounds like it's going to be the Star Wars version of Stranger Things from the synopsis that I read about it.
The synopsis you just gave made it sound like it was Star Wars Lost in Space, and we're just bouncing from thing to thing to thing. Brent, you mentioned something that I think would be interesting to talk about that they haven't done from what I understand in previous celebrations. Security was like crazy this year, right? Like I saw in the group chat that they were talking about, there were people patrolling the aisles, like kicking people out if you were filming anything.
Yes, I read that quite a bit.
Like, and you're just out for the rest of, like, did you read anything about, like, I would be so pissed if I had just like spent all this money to get to Anaheim, go to Celebration. Yeah, Brent.
Yeah, sure. You can be angry, but I guarantee you they were clear and explicit that no pictures and video to be taken. And you're breaking that rule, so you deserve to get your phone taken. You deserve to be kicked out because you were told explicitly not to do it.
Yeah, but now we're sitting here on the backside of Celebration, hearing all this stuff about a great Ahsoka trailer, hearing this stuff about, all these kind of things, waiting in limbo. I don't have time to go to Anaheim and go hang out. I barely had time to go to the the ICCC, which they don't want it being called the ICCC. But I don't have time to go do that. I'm banking on, some 14-year-old that goes to Anaheim to videotape it on his phone and put it on the internet so that Alfie can send it to me.
Exactly.
That's what I'm banking on.
It was real funny watching some of the previews on Twitter. I think we were watching Mando season 3, and I was watching it with my wife, and she's like, "Why is it only half a screen? He needs to move his camera up." I'm like, "He's not supposed to be doing this right now." He's taking one for the team.
This is like bootlegging videos from India.
Oh,
just be grateful for what you've got.
I'll watch them, but at the same time, like, you were told, so I have no love lost for the people that broke the rules and got caught, because I'm sure there was others that didn't get caught.
You'll just benefit from their risk, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be better publicity in marketing, getting it out there to have it in full HD, 4K available for people to watch rather than half of the screen and somebody's knee the whole time?
Yeah.
What are we doing right now, though? What are we doing right now? Talking about the preview and the trailer. Like, obviously we haven't seen it, but we're still talking about it. So it still got out there. The message still
but we'd be talking about it a lot more if we could see the whole thing.
DDoc.
I think the thing that made it worse is they were like, stay tuned, guys. We're going to live tweet everything that's happening from the Star Wars account. And they're just like, Pedro Pascal just walked on stage. John Favreau and Dave Filoni are on stage now. The Child is out. Rosario Dawson is there. And you're just like, I wish I could see this happening, And then they're just like, we're showing a teaser trailer for Mando season 3 right now. Sorry, you're not here. You're not allowed to see it. But just wait for the live show later where we'll give you an abbreviated version of shorter interviews with these guests, like, I don't know, it's fear of missing out. You know, you just wish you could see it. I
They
wish you
didn't just
could.
get one either. They got two. There's two Mando
Yeah.
trailers.
What?
Yeah, there's two Mando trailers, two Bad Batch trailers, an Ahsoka trailer, and Tales of the Jedi.
Goodness gracious, man. Well, we have a lot to look forward to, I guess. You mentioned a couple shows right there. Alfie, what is flicking your bick right now?
Okay, flicking my
You-
bick right now. If you got a chance to see the second Mando trailer, there is a shot of a full squad of Mandos in a dropship, and the bottom opens and they all ignite their jetpacks and dive out the bottom. You talk about getting me fired up. That's it right there.
Okay. Come on. So Mando season 3 is like the big get me to that. Let's see it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you know, it with any trailer, that could be, 5 seconds. The Mando army could be half of an episode or something, but still that's what's got me fired up for Mando season 3.
Right. Did your kids get excited about any of it?
We couldn't really watch anything because as soon as you could find it, it gets taken down. I mean, we're a week past it, and I was just on a site today and watched it get taken down again.
Disney, man. Disney. What are you gonna do?
Disney.
DDoc, what's got you excited?
I'm excited for the Jedi Survivor game. I love the Fallen Order game, and I was reading about it a bit, and people were pointing out the fact that they made Cal Kestis look a lot more like the actor who plays him, like a lot more realistic. I do know it's only going to be on next gen consoles, so if you have the original 360, you got to upgrade to the Series S or the X or the PS5. It's only going to be on next gen, but I mean, that was one of my surprise favorite Star Wars games of all time. I can't wait for that story to continue.
I agree, which is worth, I think, dovetailing and sitting on for a second. And Sam, I know you played this game a ton as well, and we nerded about that. There was a part in that trailer at the very end where you see somebody suspended in what looks to be a Bacta tank, could be the tank from the Bad Batch, like the cloning thing. Who's in the tank? Come on, we got to talk about this.
I don't know, man, but I'm excited to find out.
Sam?
I had no idea. I was thinking this. I was hoping to ask. Who could it be? How long after the first game does it take place? They say.
I don't know.
I think
I read that it's
5
actually
years?
5 years, and that lines it up to the Kenobi timeline right now, doesn't it?
Goodness gracious, man.
I think so, because I was reading that basically Kenobi, Solo, and Fallen Order 2 were all in like the same year.
Right. I'm really hoping that whoever it's in, they do like one of my favorite things that Disney is doing right now, which I can't believe I just said that, but one of my favorite things that Star Wars is doing right now is the deep dive into Legends on some stuff, which we'll talk about later, specifically with Kenobi, and bringing stuff back and making it canon in a fresh way where they're doing it. I think of just, years of comic books where there's, rogue Jedi that have been there. I think of one comic book in particular. I don't know why I can't remember now, but it was in like the Clone Wars Legacy Dark Horse comics. But it was like, it starts with Obi-Wan crash landing his ship back at the Jedi Temple, and they all come running in. And they're like, what happened? And then he tells them the story of how I went off with these like 5 or 6 gray Jedi to go and, essentially blow up this droid factory on this planet. And they all died except for me. And they sacrificed themselves to get me out. I think the world is so expansive of Star Wars with Jedi. I'm going to take a page out of Brent Dykman's book. While I hope it's somebody new, I would love it if it was somebody that was so obscure from Legends that they throw it in that it doesn't matter if you read Legends or not. You're like, man, this could be a cool new favorite Jedi. And I'm hoping that they show up in that plays some part of more future games, because I agree that game is phenomenal. Sam, what's getting you excited coming out of Celebration? Stuff you saw, stuff you read?
Well, outside of all this, I mean, Mando's a big one, but I'm excited for Vision Season 2. Just gonna leave it on that. I was excited that came back. I don't get not a big social media presence, so my excitement levels contained to my wife and my neighbors who don't care. But I loved, and Nick, when I text Nick, I loved Visions. I was excited to see it come back, and it's like the one it's kind of like the one like set apart place right now that's like, hey, if you're watching it, you pretty much, you know, love it and enjoy it, and that's all there is to it right now. So sad to see that come back.
Do you want to see Tatooine Rhapsody Part 2?
Do I? I mean, I would watch it.
It's just which ones, like, so the question is, are they going to be completely new stories?
Oh, like, are they going to be? Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I kind of hope they're new stories.
I actually liked the Tatooine Rhapsody because I'm weird. Right. I thought it was fun, right? Like it was nothing earth shattering. It was fun. But are they going to be completely new stories? Are they going to be part 2s of each of the individuals, or where are they going to go? Are they going to use different studios? Because didn't they go to like the 9 top performing or the top highest level anime studios? So are they going to go back to the same people? It's just, there's a lot of unknown with it. I'll watch it.
Right.
But
you would think that maybe there would be at least 2 or 3 that they would do part 2s of, right? So like, with the amount of money the amount of money they sunk into that Ronin book and all that stuff, I can see them doing that. If they do that, which I hadn't thought about that, Brent, until you brought that up, I would love to see the one, like an extension of the Master and the Apprentice that ran into like the old Sith Lord with the 2 lightsaber daggers. You know what I'm talking about? I would love to see, because I feel like they did such a good job with that one, and then it left you like hungry for more.
There was another one where they went and they were recruited back to a place, and she thought they were Jedi. They turned out to be
Jedi.
Sith. That's what. Yeah, that one I think could get a second one as well. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Now, do I need to see like the Astro Boy one with the Jedi boy that, you know, like the robot that's kind of a Jedi that or the one where they're flying on top of the X-Wings in space? Maybe not, but it's not for everybody, you know? It's not for me. So, Brent, what got me most excited, and I keep picking on you because the reoccurring thing is like, give me new. Stop going back to the well, which I do agree. I feel like they've done a lot of fan service recently. I thought that Andor trailer was stunning, like absolutely beautiful. The Clone Wars callbacks all throughout it. When I first heard they were doing Andor, I was like, but we know that he dies. Like, we know that this is where this goes. And then I thought, we also know Obi-Wan Kenobi dies, but we're still all hype and we're watching that. And so for me, that was one of the biggest surprise moments of Celebration, was actually getting that and finding out that that's coming out in what, August?
Fall, I think.
Like August 31st, maybe. Like right at the start.
August 31st.
Of the fall.
Double episode on August 31st.
Okay.
And 12 episodes. Good night. That to me is real exciting. Yeah, Brent.
The other thing was there was a glimpse of live action clones. Yes. Phase 2, they were phase 2 because you can tell by the helmet they were phase 2 clones. I know that from my game, but they were phase 2 clones. So Andor is gonna it's gonna be obviously, I believe, starting before Order 66 and then going afterwards, or right there in that transitional time because it's early Empire.
Right. Man, that's fantastic. Okay, so here's another question. I'm curious. So next year, Celebration is out in London. I believe in the faith of this group that we have here. I also believe that a bunch of dudes flying from Indy and Philadelphia and Chicago to London together to go to Celebration is a long shot, but it's already got me pining for like what's coming next. Was there anything that they didn't reveal or release at Celebration that you wish that they had talked about? Yeah, Alfie.
Any type of actual movie?
Yes, elaborate.
Well, I mean, is there a path to a feature film again? You know, in her big interview with the Kathleen Kennedy interview, she said that the Bryan Johnson trilogy is still years away because he's too busy to do it. And that, you know, she's expecting a 3 to 5 year commitment out of anybody that signs on to Star Wars. So, you know, we keep hearing things about a Kevin Feige movie. The director of Thor, you know, he's supposed to have a movie. Patty Jenkins, you know, when will we see Star Wars back in the cinema on the big screen?
Yeah, it's fair. Brent.
I was just gonna the Taika Waititi and the who's the director of Thor: Love and Thunder. I think his is the most close from what I was reading. I think they said that was the closest one, and then the next one that would be in the hopper would be the Feige or the Rogue Squadron, if it's still even in production and or on the books, because there's been mixed reports about that as well.
Right.
I think they said the Taika Waititi movie is like they're aiming for December of 23 on it, from what I heard. But did any of you guys also hear? I know I read this quote. It was something along the lines of Kathleen Kennedy saying any movies that are going to be made are going to take place during the sequel trilogy timeline. Did any of you guys read that as well?
I read that. But what does that exactly mean? I mean, Mando is, what timeline is he in? But does that affect any of the main movie timelines? I mean, saying it's during a certain timeline doesn't necessarily mean we're going to focus on Rey and Finn in any of the actual sequel characters. It's a big galaxy.
Early on with Rogue Squadron, I believe the story that early on, again, it's also possibly shelved, that was the X-Wing fighter pilots were going to be taking place after in the sequel trilogy timeline. So it wasn't Rogue Squadron with Wedge Antilles. It was going to be the continuation of Rogue Squadron and what it has become. So, yeah.
I see. I'd be curious, Alfie, on that, of like, what's the path back to movies? I know we've talked about it on the show before, but thinking through the lens of like, when Rian Johnson says, I'm too busy to do that, what director wants the smoke of having to go back? Like it's Filoni and Favreau right now.
Right.
That are like the golden boys of Star Wars, and to try to,
and if you look at the industry right now, movies that come out are only getting a few days before you get the ability to stream them. So planning 3 to 5 years out, will there even be a cinema industry anymore, with the big screen? Because why would you want to spend $100 to take, your kids to the movies when you could just wait 5 days? And a lot of them are, you can stream the day that they're released on HBO Max and other platforms. So
it's not the same. It's not the same.
It's close enough.
No, I'm glad you brought this up, because I watched Maverick and I went to IMAX and watched Maverick. And as I was leaving the theater, I said to myself, one, it's a fantastic movie. If you have time, go watch it. If you're a fan of the original Top Gun, you're going to be a fan of this movie. But when I was leaving it internally, as I was walking out, it was like, there are some movies you have to experience in the theater, because it is bigger. You're focused on it. You are immersed into that world because of the sound and because of the screen. Now, I have a decent sized television. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't, but it's still not the same. Just like DDoc said, like I get distracted. I go into the bathroom, I pause it. Like the dogs are rolling around. I'm focused solely on that movie during those 2.5 hours or however long it's going to be.
No, I completely agree with you. But my point is, the industry is moving away from that. So who's to say if you make a map for 5 years in the future that there will still even be that theater presence?
And I feel like the industry moved away for early COVID because of and doing all of those releases for COVID. So it used to go, there were tons of movies, thousands of movies that went straight to DVD, and you could rent them from all of the horror movies basically never went to the theater. They went straight to DVD. And I feel like there's going to be thousands of movies that are going to go straight to streaming, but the big ones are going to stay in the theater because it's just that experience. And I think
as long as there is a theater,
I'm thinking the public's going to bring it back. When I went to Maverick, it was a full theater. And this is week 2 of Maverick. It came out like week 2 in the IMAX, it was full. So it's holding numbers, it's getting money. And I think people are pining for good movies in the theaters now, and they feel a little bit more comfortable going back. So I believe that they're not going to go straight to streaming like they did. Yeah, because they just don't make as much money.
Yeah, to keep it short too, like I won't drag this out too long, but I mean, I'm going to use the Batman as an example. I saw that in theaters and I really enjoyed it in theaters. Everybody I talked to who watched the Batman at home said it was too long. I got distracted. And when I was in theaters, I didn't feel that because I was in theater, because the sound of the engine was so loud and everything. I mean, if you're going to release a Star Wars movie, you got to sit there in the theater. You got to see the scroll on the screen. I mean, it's just special. Movie theaters will never go out of business because I will mortgage my life to run the last freaking movie theater there is.
I like that.
Hopefully my wife didn't hear me say that, but I'm pretty passionate about it. I mean, there's something special to going and seeing it in the theater. I mean, I know you can make popcorn and sit on your couch, but like, I don't know. It's just it's an experience, you know, especially for Star Wars.
I completely agree. Don't take what I'm saying as that I don't like going to the theater.
No,
my point is just our society is very fast moving, and it's, man, banking on that theater being there in 5 years.
We saw what happened to Blockbuster.
Yeah, it didn't evolve, man. There's something to it. I the first episode of Kenobi for me was super choppy because my 2-year-old wanted juice and I didn't get the right kind, or I didn't put enough in, or I didn't get it fast enough for him, and we melted. And it was not as great of an experience if you had saw it in film. Sam Caldwell, coming out of Celebration, I know we talked about Visions. I know we talked about Andor. Was there anything that we didn't talk about that I'm forgetting that was released that is worth mentioning about Celebration?
I mean, I think like Bad Batch coming up.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's coming in the fall, right? Season 2 is coming in the fall.
Yeah, and you're a big Omega guy. So
Omega.
Yeah.
Yeah, love Omega. Yeah, I actually, I'm part of it, with all the news this last week. I mean, I got a 3-week-old at home. I like kind of forgot it was happening until you texted me the Andor one. I was trying to keep up with it. So I watched the trailer and I thought it looked great. I think that show, the animation in it is unbelievable. I'm interested to see where it goes. I don't have any like thoughts beyond that. Like I've got opinions or takes or anything, but very interested to see where it goes, how they keep that story going.
Yeah, me too. So we'll have to do a breakdown of that trailer, watch it back a couple of times, maybe come back for another Clone Wars Chronicle, and we'll make something happen and merge it into, we do a bad batch breakfast. If I can say that correctly, we'll do something like that. So we gathered here to talk about something more significant than Star Wars Celebration, though, and that is possibly one of the greatest television shows that's ever existed, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Brent, you could scoff. Man, I'm sold out for this, man.
It's a little early.
It's not too early. I'm in, man. I drank the Kool-Aid. I've jumped in. I am all about Obi-Wan Kenobi. And our resident in-house encyclopedia, Alfie Molinaro, went back through 1 and 2 of the series so far and found a ton of Easter eggs. Things that maybe you wouldn't catch the first time around. Alfie, talk to us, man. Tell us about what you saw.
I'm going to go through these pretty quick, and they're not really in chronological order because I was bouncing around from thing to thing. But outside of Easter eggs, one thing that I really liked in the first episode, did anybody else catch the little fourth wall break there of Obi-Wan in the Jawa with the Star Wars toys that were expensive and no longer in production, that were hard to get?
That's
just like
funny. I missed that. Is that a pop shot at Hasbro?
I don't know, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Okay. Did you notice that the Inquisitor's ships and their chairs are shaped like Vader's castle?
Interesting.
Okay. And this ties into episode 3 here. The planet, the Mapuzo, that's on the castle view screen that they're looking at, and where they're supposed to, Obi-Wan and Leia are supposed to meet up. That is actually from the Alliance Intelligence Reports, which is a 1995 Star Wars RPG source book.
This is what I'm freaking talking about, Alfie. Like back when Mando 2 came out and Mos Pelgos came out, and anybody that played Old Republic was like, we know that. That's awesome. And anybody who didn't was like, that's so cool. I don't know why it's cool, but it's awesome. That's That's cool. Good catch, Alfie.
Okay, the scene where Leia's in the tree watching the ships go by. The Tri-Fighter she mentions, that was designed and appeared in The Rise of Skywalker, and it was a collaboration design with Doug Chiang and Porsche. She says that it was Aquilian Rangers, and that was from the second draft of the Adventures of Starkiller script. That's a non-Jedi race who carried laser swords and could use the Force.
Goodness gracious.
The Mersan pirates that they were scouting for was from the 1979 Star Wars Marvel comics, then was reused again in 2019 as the Separatist group from I didn't write down the name of the role-playing game, but it's another Star Wars role-playing game.
So Alfie, quick pause. So like that whole thing you're talking about took place in like 20 seconds worth of dialogue and could kind of feel like a throwaway. Who is writing this? Like who is bringing all these like, hey, there was a 1995 RPG game that was really great. We should reference that in the. Who's doing this? Is this Filoni? Is this Favreau?
I don't know, because then, Leia's mother says that it's like raising a Glorag, which comes from a 1996 Star Wars Adventure Journal, number 10. Leia says that she'd rather be digested by a jackal beast, and that is from a 2002 Power of the Jedi source book. They were a very vicious, Force-sensitive animal. Let's see here. Keep going. My daughter drew all in my notebook, so I got to skip ahead here. Okay. When Obi-Wan gets to Dayu, he asked for the signals, and they said that Dayu was based on Hong Kong. And it was kind of like a little tongue-in-cheek reference there that they said all signals are blocked. If you think about, actually being in Hong Kong. The spice, of course, Kessel Pure comes from Kessel. Glitter Stem comes from webs of spice spiders and that's was mentioned a lot in the Knights of the Old Republic, different video games, comics, but first mention was in 1993 in Han Solo in a corporate sector source book. Here. Oh, the bounty hunter, the dinosaur bounty hunter was eating a rib outside of a restaurant that the Arabesh translated to Gungan Snacks. So would that be a Kadu rib, which was also mentioned in Mando episode season 2 finale, was on the menu in when Mando and Boba Fett meet the other two Mandalorians. And actually you can buy that at Galaxy's Edge. Kadu ribs are served there. We touched on it last episode about the Forlom series droid. His name is One Jack. Vader, when you see him in the Bacta tank, has the scar from Return of the Jedi. If you think back to when Luke takes his mask off, he does have that scar in the Bacta tank. We talked in our group chat about the connection with Koron, the little boy that the imposter Jedi. Could he be the Jedi Master from the Rogue Squadron games? And it matches up. He's the right age. He was from Corellia, which he's on the show. He's going to Corellia, and his mother is Nishi, just like in the novels. And then the last thing was the dinosaur bounty hunter, which was kind of odd because we don't really see many dinosaur shaped creatures. So the two closest I could find were either the Siruk from the Truce at Bakura, which was a 1993 novel, or the Tis Shar, which goes back to Han Solo at Star's End in 1979, were the two different reptilian species I could find that look like dinosaurs. All that
Alfie,
packed into 2 episodes.
I feel like we should give you either a standing ovation or bring you up for air or do, like, I don't know what we should do, but I'm sitting back here going, that is amazing. That one, they had put all that in, and 2, that you were able to dig up all that stuff. How long did that take you?
It took a while. It was a lot of Googling and, rewatching, pausing, watching with the subtitles on to get the names right. And then just going through and finding, a lot of things were mentioned 100 times throughout Star Wars media, but I always try to find the earliest one.
Man, you have impressed us and dug yourself a grave, because now I'm expecting this for the next everything we ever watch Star Wars ever again. I'm expecting you to find all the Easter eggs and do that. Man, that is fantastic. For those of you listening,
Well, thank you.
Alfie Molinaro, make sure you follow him on Twitter because he's full of these nuggets all over the place. Okay, we're here to talk episode 3 of this, and as opposed to going chronological, we can do some of that and hit on some different stuff. I think one of my favorite parts about what we do on this show is we go, man, did you? It's a little Chris Farley-ish, but it's like, hey, remember that time that you pulled out your
That was
lightsaber?
great.
And that was. Did you really do that? Like, I like being able to jump around and do a little bit of that and talk about what you love and what you liked, and maybe I'll just kick it off with, I thought the end of episode 2, where she tells Anakin, or she tells that, hey, Anakin is alive, and to start with him again contemplating all that, was just my favorite part of this show so far. Has been the tortured soul Obi-Wan Kenobi character that we were hoping we were going to get, broken kind of shell of a man. It's like master acting that he's doing right now in this, and it just keeps getting finer and finer and finer every episode. DDoc, you're shaking your head.
Oh, I'm muted. I pretty much agree with you. I mean, I remember reading a quote from Deborah Chow saying this is almost like a Logan style story, and I'm seeing that put together now because it's Obi-Wan and little Princess Leia, which I keep saying that Leia is the Grogu of this show. I just did not expect, 3 episodes of Leia when you didn't even really see her in any of the trailers or anything. So, I mean, today was the banger that just hooked you in my opinion.
All right. That's good. And good use of the word banger there too. Our crew is happy about that. Alfie.
One thing that has really surprised me about the show, and to compound on what DDoc's saying here, I have been really pleasantly surprised with the interaction between Obi-Wan and the actress that's playing young Leia. I think it's just been a very well done. There's a lot of emotion. That scene when they're on the cargo transport there, and she says, you knew my mother, didn't you? The fact that she was able to put this together, man, that was a little gut wrenching right there. We thought, last episode, him saying that she reminded of somebody was emotional, but to me, that was just even better.
Yeah, I agree with that, Alfie. Especially the beautiful surprise in this for me was, like, I came into this thinking, man, he's going to be tortured over Anakin, and I failed Anakin. But the payoff of what you saw in Revenge of the Sith, where he goes to Padme's apartment and he empathizes with her, and he's like, I'm so sorry, kind of thing, and then he's with her when she dies. I don't know why my brain wasn't even thinking about the connection that the two of them would have had. And now you have this mini, sassy Padme Amidala 2.0 that he's with all the time. Like the sheer torture of that has been really interesting to watch unfold and envelop. And part of the reason why that first opening scene was so good too is we're cutting back and forth between Darth Vader being reassembled in the Bacta tank, which is just awesome. What else? Other thoughts? Things you like? Things you saw, Brent?
Okay, so I'll keep this one out. I was shocked by the voice of the transport driver. I did not expect that voice from that creature.
No,
I honestly was like, what? Really? That's his voice? I was expecting something completely different. It's like when you're talking to somebody and they have this real deep voice and you didn't expect it, or somebody with a high, like it was not matching what I envisioned him to have as a voice. I'll throw that one out there.
I thought it was Seth Rogen. I looked it up today because that's who I thought it was. He just like, ha, come on in, guys. Like, I'm like, that's Seth Rogen's voice, but it was
Zach Braff.
The guy, yeah, Zach Braff. I'm like,
from Scrubs.
Wild. Yeah.
Really? That's hilarious. I didn't realize that. It sounded a little Midwest, if you ask me. Like, oh, yep, come on in. Oh, yeah. Man, that's good. That's good. Sam, what stuck out to you?
Well, I mean, if we haven't touched on already, I think Darth Vader's presence in this episode was just, I mean, you talk about Kenobi and how like it's fascinating and heartbreaking, honestly, to see him in this like midpoint between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. But to see Darth Vader too, like at the peak of his like evilness when he was walking through the town, just like choking people out, snapping necks. You know, you don't really get that from the movies. You know, you have Revenge of the Sith where he starts and then A New Hope and he's kind of, hey, he is, you know, evil and then gets better throughout that. And I know in Rogue One at the end, they, you know, there's the hallway scene that everybody loves and it's awesome. But it's like, this is like smack dab in the middle. Like it's slow, meticulous. And it just added an air of like, I didn't know how they were going to bring him in. I really didn't. I mean, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid too, because I just love Star Wars. And I think this has been an awesome show so far, but to see that was really made it like, oh, this is real. I don't know what's going to happen, but
yeah.
So my question that as you said that, I think everybody who watched it is going to say that the Vader scenes, but what Vader image quotes scene really stood out? So you were saying walking down the street, choking people out. Did anything else jump out to anybody from the Vader, like all of the Vader stuff?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alfie.
Him force choking Kenobi and then dragging him through the fire. That was a little harsh right there. There's not a whole lot of love between these two.
I'll make you suffer like I suffered, or something. Like, I don't know the exact quote. It was like something of that or in that world.
Now you suffer. Now you will suffer.
Now we'll suffer.
Did anybody like have a flash moment of like, wait, what's happening right now? Like, does that like I'm watching that happen thinking like his face is gonna burn off. Like, what are, like, he's not disfigured or dismembered in my mind. I'm like, maybe this is how he gets his gray hair, because he gets like, you know, pulled. I don't know. Like I'm trying to rationalize in my brain going, this isn't how it's supposed to happen. What's going on right now? That was a good one, Alfie.
It wasn't.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it wasn't until the episode was over that I didn't quite believe it wasn't like in his head. Like I thought he was like envisioning like Vader coming after him. I had that kind of in my head, like, is this just a fear?
A fear dream, like a forced dream.
I do have one that, and I'm going off, but I do not want to forget to bring it up. And I know I wrote it down today, and I will. When that guy, what was his name? Freck on the transport, the rat-looking guy. I think that was his name. Either way, Leia says, "Hi, I'm Lola. Aren't you going to say hello, Father?" And then Kenobi goes, "Hello." I thought that was going to be the hello there moment.
I was waiting for it.
I was like, right when I heard her say, "Aren't you going to say hello, Father?" I'm like, here it comes. Hello there. But nope, did not happen. Did any of you guys think that at that point? I mean, we got to hear a hello there at one point. Yeah,
I thought it was coming.
Brent, you're shaking your head.
No, it was nowhere in my thought process when she said that. Like, I get where you're coming from now that you say it. Yeah, that would be, but no, and also I'm going to go to in-universe explanation for it. He's not the same guy. He's not the guy that says hello there yet. Like, I feel like he's getting his butt kicked this episode, where he's going to go back and he will become that guy that says hello there, but he's not that guy right now. So that's why I feel like it makes sense that he didn't say it.
Are we going to get a good training montage?
That's exactly what I was thinking, Alfie. Are we going to get like, I would love to
like an A team, like the A team where they're building the or Rocky
just trudging through the snow doing pull-ups on wooden beams. That would be
on top of the mountain yelling Vader.
You know what, Brent, you brought up something. You were asking, you know, what is it about Vader that got you? For me, the fact that they brought James Earl Jones back to do the voice for Vader in this, it is so good. Like my one of my second, third favorite Star Wars movie is Rogue One, partially because Vader plays a role in that, you know, kind of throughout that movie. And no offense to the guy that did the voice for it, but it's just like you can discern between there are a couple like lines of dialogue that he has in that movie where you're just kind of like, this is not the same thing. Like this is good, but this is, different. This was about a spot on, and I get it because it's the guy that did it. But I was like engrossed by what I was watching, going like, wow, his dialogue was so good. The line where he says, Obi-Wan goes, what have you become? And he's like, I am what you made me. Like that stuff is what I'm here for, man. Like I signed up, I got my Vader mug to just watch the continuing unraveling of Darth Vader. I thought that was awesome. Which DDoc, yeah, go for it.
Is James Earl Jones not just one of these people that we just have to be so thankful that we have been able to witness in our lives what he's done? I mean, he's Mufasa, he's Darth Vader. I love him in The Sandlot. I mean, he's just a special person, and to be able to have him as part of Star Wars and to have him still doing it while we're how old is he now? I mean, he's got to be close to his 90s. Am I right?
Yeah, pretty old. I'm sure we could look that up.
I'm gonna have to look it up, but I mean, we're just lucky to have him as a part of this and to be able to still enjoy this voice that, I mean, has been around for 45 years and is still intimidating as hell when you see him. It's just something about him that's just special, and I'm just loving it.
Disney needs to be paying him to just record lines of dialogue. Just go through the, dictionary word after word.
They just need to record him doing the entire dictionary. That way they can then
splice it
all
together.
They can splice it all together.
The whatever. Deep fake. Yeah. So let me ask you this. I had to stop watching this today. I was shocked that Vader came in as soon as he did in this. I was in my mind almost convinced that Vader wasn't going to come, like that you were just going to get teased with like him being assembled, or you get the picture of him in the Mustafar castle, sitting there. But to have him physically come out, draw his lightsaber, go to the planet, hunt down Kenobi, to me, it felt like it was sooner than I expected. Did anybody else feel that?
Yeah. They played that card pretty early.
Like almost too, what was it, too early?
Well, it kind of, oh, sorry. It's 6 episodes. We were halfway through, right? If you were watching a movie, you'd be halfway into it.
Yeah, I thought the Inquisitors were just going to go after him some more, though. Like they're building out this Reva storyline. Yeah. In my mind, it was like going to be like Fallen Order.
Yeah, but like the Inquisitors are the Team Rocket to Vader. So you could only go that storyline for so long.
Yeah, that's fair. To me, though, I was sitting and I was equal parts excited and equal parts like, oh no, we've been waiting for this for so long, and we burned it in episode 3, and it was awesome. And I'm sure we'll get more, right? Because like you said, we're seeing the shell of Kenobi right now. He's not getting his tail whooped in A New Hope until he does it on purpose. So something has to change between now and then, to make that happen.
James Earl Jones was born January 17th, 1931. He's 91 years old.
Good Lord. And it still sounds that good.
Yeah, it's incredible. Did you guys think Vader moved a little bit faster when he was walking as well? When he was walking down the street, do you think his movements looked a little faster?
Yeah, Alfie.
I thought so too. And I think this also goes back to Rogue One. Is it because he's freshly out of the back to tank?
Interesting. Or the actor is just a little more nimble than David Prowse.
And we've come a long way since 1977. So, some upgrades in special effects and suits and all of that. But I would think you could probably explain it away that, he is basically in the back to tank until there's a purpose for him to come out. Maybe his strength wanes the longer he's out of it.
Interesting. Brent.
But no, I think we have already talked about that too, that like, wasn't he in a back to tank and then he lost all of his force powers? Because part of what gives him his powers is the pain and the suffering, right? Because that's what the dark side is. And so he gets stronger when he's out longer.
Well, so that was one of my questions. When he's walking through the street is he choking people out and snapping the neck of that kid, which I hate myself, but I thought it was awesome. I was like, what the heck am I watching right now? Like, this is not awesome, but like, that's the video from the comics that you get. Like, just like looking people and they're like, you're surrounded. He's like, yeah, surrounded by dead people. And then he kills everybody. And it's awesome.
That is such an epic comic. Sorry to cut you off. Yes.
The Vader down one's so good. My thought was, are you doing this to lure Obi-Wan out? Or are you doing this because of exactly what Brent said, that you thrive on, pain and suffering. And so by killing, I am almost like super saying myself, to like get ready to go take on Obi-Wan.
I think it's the same way as what the Inquisitors were doing when Reva threw the knife. I think what you were saying was he was doing it, I think, to try to pull him out because he felt like, how could Obi-Wan sit and let this happen? That's kind of my take on it. That's sitting here thinking about it. That's where I would fall on that but yeah, him snapping the neck of the kid just for no reason was intense.
Yeah, I don't actually love that. I want to go on the record and say that I am not pro neck snapping. I just was shocked by it, and it was kind of cool. Alfie.
Okay, I'm just going to mention this. I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but I got to take off anyway. So one last thing about this episode. After watching Vader, it was awesome. It is insane to me that you cannot buy a Darth Vader today.
That's fair. After how awesome that is, that you can't get one.
Yes. It just boggles my mind that in these series, there are no products. There's no merchandise. For a Star Wars series that has Darth Vader in it, you cannot buy a Darth Vader figure. And I don't understand.
We went about it.
Yeah, we went to Target Friday to buy Star Wars figures, my daughter and I. We ended up buying Jurassic Park. You know why? Because there was a big Velociraptor display, and it looked cool. Who wants to buy Bad Batch figures 2 years after the show came out?
It's all perspective, though, Alfie, because you could be buying it 2 years after the show came out, or you could be buying it 2 months before the new series, before the new season comes out. I'll find you silver lining, Alfie. I feel for you, brother.
But you're going to want them in their new costume from the second series.
The orange stripe on it.
There's like 15 Black series that go on pre-order tomorrow, and the Darth Vader one doesn't come out until next year.
Honestly, one of the funniest things was I stopped at a Walmart to see if they had anything there, and it was like poetry. I walked into the Star Wars aisle, and there's one Walmart employee there with a cart, and he is sitting there loading more Grogu stuffed animals, and there was already like 3 rows of them, and he was sitting there just putting more on it. And I'm just like, don't get me wrong, I love the little green man, but like that is what the Star Wars aisle is a lot of Grogu, and maybe you might find something else. I don't know. But yeah, I would love to go buy a freaking Darth Vader figure right now and have it on the shelf as well, but that's where we're at.
Darth Vader, the Inquisitors, their ship, the Purge Troopers. I mean, I don't understand it. People want to buy it and you refuse to sell it to them. It doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Absolutely crazy. Alfie, do you have to go, or do you have time for one more piece on
I'll do one more.
Okay. The part we got to talk about, we went back and forth in the group chat about it. You actually, or it was DDoc that actually set the still image of it. About a quarter of the way into this episode, they're walking on this planet. Remind me the name of it again.
Mapuzo?
Yeah, Mapuzo. They're walking on it. It's fun to say. Mapuzo. They're walking on this planet. Obi-Wan starts hallucinating, or does he? I'm assuming he does. Hallucinates, and he sees a figure in the robe. And Alfie pointed out to the group after still images, and DDoc actually sent the picture, that this is our first sighting of Hayden Christensen without the Vader getup, looking like he did in Revenge of the Sith. Come on, talk to me about this scene, because for me, that was like, it's 6 a.m, and I've got my kid on my chest, and I'm pausing and I'm walking over to my TV and I'm staring at it going, is that Hayden Christensen? That's Hayden Christensen. What's happening right now? Surely you were as shocked the first time you saw that.
Oh yeah. I mean, we keep talking about the emotions of this series. We're through Obi-Wan, it was emotional enough for him to see Luke, to see Leia, taking care of the children of, his best friend. And now he's been living with the guilt, the burden of what happened to Anakin, but Anakin's still alive. And now he's found it. And that's just compounding, his PTSD that he has. And it's only going to get worse in the next few episodes because I don't know. I have a feeling we're going to get some flashbacks eventually, and that's just going to absolutely destroy us to see them, doing whatever, training, fighting in the Clone Wars, something.
I thought we were going to get one in that moment when they were talking about, this place was ravaged by the Empire. And I was waiting for, and we were here together, on this planet, and we see even just like a quick them looking at each other. But to see him standing there, at first I was like, Joey asked the question on TikTok, and it's been debunked now, but he asked the question like, do we think the hooded figure Ben saw then disappeared was Rex? Right? Come on, all of our minds were going at some point of going, who the heck is that? Like, what's going on? At first my thought was, is that the Jedi from Dayu that we saw? Or the fake Jedi from Dayu that we saw, or another type of Jedi or something like that, but really something else. More thoughts on that scene or anything on this episode? Yeah, Brent.
I just thought it was the contact, right? Because it was right about the spot where they were supposed to find the contact. So I just thought it was another Jedi that was the contact. And then I realized it was like a vision. It was a hallucination, but I thought it was the contact.
Yeah, right. DDoc?
Yeah, I mean, I actually paused, rewound, and looked at it again in the show, and I was just like, that was like kind of like a little heart-stopping moment, and I think it just shows that like, Obi-Wan knew the good version of Anakin more than he knew the bad version of him, and I think that's why he's seeing these flashes of him, and like, there was just some like freaking props to Hayden Christensen for just standing there and staring, and just the way that hood, like just the way he was looking at him, he looked like he was pissed at him. He looked like he's like, you failed me. I don't know, for such a short little clip, there's just a lot to that. And I mean, it hit you hard when you saw it,
Right. Sam, you and I are children of the prequels, if you will. Emotion seeing Hayden Christensen back on screen after, man, what is it, 18, 19 years of not seeing him in Star Wars?
It's pretty cool. Like, it's not, I don't know, something that I guess in my time since Revenge of the Sith ever was like, man, I want that guy back. That I would be lying if I said that was like something that, drove my thoughts with Star Wars. But I mean, if you're doing something in this time when they're this age and you're going to get these people back together, it's like, how could you not? It's really cool, and it'll be interesting to see if they do like flashbacks too of him as like Anakin and not just him as Darth Vader. But yeah, that shot was awesome. That might have been my favorite one of the whole thing. Right. So surreal, like it like kind of like focuses on his face and then turns, and there's all of a sudden this figure there, and you're like, oh
yeah,
it was awesome.
And he's hallucinating. So Alfie, thank you for jumping on. I know excuse me, I'm choking over here. It just blew somebody's speakers out in their car. Alfie, I know that you had to go, but man, thanks for jumping on tonight and
no problem
making that
Thanks
happen.
for having me. And I will have to listen to this because I really hope you guys bring up Quinlan Voss and talk about that a little bit.
Man, we're heading that way. So bummer to miss you, but good to see you, man.
All right, you too. Take care.
Okay, I'm choking. So somebody else pitch a question for a second.
I have one, and it was one of our guys on TikTok, Bite Size Bricks. He's a Lego page on TikTok. Definitely an awesome page. He had brought up about Obi-Wan Kenobi talking about the fact that he thinks he remembers having a baby brother, and that's like a loaded line in the show there. His exact question was, do you think the fact that Obi-Wan had a brother highlights his feelings of failure towards Anakin? Such a small detail, but it reveals a lot about how he feels. So, he can kind of remember his brother, but he looked at Anakin in that way. So what do you think about that?
So I'm going to go, because I remember, and this blew me away when I heard it. Alfie just jumped off. He would be able to support this, and Joe would be able to support this. There is an old novel or comic that Obi-Wan's brother is Owen Lars, and that he was actually a Lars that got taken when he was young, and that Tatooine is his home, and that Owen was his brother. So if the person who wrote that question, probably if he's listening, that may blow that person away, because I hadn't heard it until, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months ago when Alfie and Joe were talking about it. But that's crazy to think that might be a reference to them coming back and trying to pull something from Legends in, like we said, like trying to make things a little bit more and pull like the best of.
Yeah, maybe you've ruined me though, Brent, because I'm like, now I see things through the lens of, wow, that's convenient. Like that would be the most. We've got a whole galaxy's worth of people, right? And we're gonna make that would be cool, but the other part of me would be like, I want some new in that. I think that's such an interest. That was such a funky part of this episode for me, where it's like, I would love to see, something that, and maybe we'll see it in this Tales of the Jedi when Ahsoka's being taken. Like, how old are they really when they're being taken? Like, because the whole thing in the prequels was like, you're not getting taken past a certain age. Otherwise, it's almost impossible to train you. But you're old enough that you remember some things. I don't remember what my first conscious memory was, but it wasn't going to be my dad's hands. So I thought it was cool, but I also was like, huh? Like what the like DDoc, what do you think about that?
I heard that line and I was like, this is not something that they put in the show as a throwaway line for no reason. And then it got me compounding because Yoda had told Obi-Wan to bring Luke to his family on Tatooine. Like, what is the Lars relation to Luke Skywalker? For Owen to be his family to take care of him, would that make Obi-Wan technically part of the Skywalker family? Am I going down too deep of a wormhole here?
No, but Anakin's mom was married to Klee, right? So it's a stepbrother, I guess.
Stumpy, yes. The original Stumpy.
See, like, I'm telling you right now, my brain was turning into mush, and now you just literally, like, I was confusing myself. I'm like, wait a second, the Lars, I was totally confusing myself. Okay, so step family. Okay.
So, but it's the closest to family, I guess, and I think that's what they were going with that line. That's the closest to family, and he's out of the way, and no one would go to Tatooine.
I thought when this line came up that maybe we were gonna. I know we've talked before about, are there going to be any references to like Duchess or anything like that in this? When she says, "Are you my father, like my real father?" and he looks at her and he says, "I wish I could tell you that was true." Like, how much pain, regret, what could have been is swirling up inside of Obi-Wan that to say something like that. Like, I wish that I was.
But like, on the other side, what kind of emotional intelligence does a 10-year-old have to look at a man that she's just met and have that emotional conversation between the two of them and then say, "Are you really my father?" Like, the emotional intelligence that she is showing makes her that strong Leia that we see. Like, I mean, it is a very good characterization of a young Leia. Like, that's the way, like what you're saying. I feel like she, on the other end, the way it's written, the way that's acted, the way that it's portrayed is phenomenal.
It's almost like she's Force sensitive.
You would think.
You would possibly think. Sam, I know you haven't been on for the other two. Actually, I haven't been on for the other two either. But I'm curious for you, this arc of Leia coming in, and watching, her character kind of be what it is in this series, was that surprising to you? Was that something that caught you off guard? Have you enjoyed that? Tell me about that.
It caught me. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised at this point. The Star Wars universe loves to just tie everybody in. Like I said, it's convenient that the quintillions of people in the galaxy that, it's kind of the same, like 15 share the same adventures. But that being said, I've loved it. I've been loving it so far. I was pleasantly surprised. Didn't see it coming at all. Kind of figured it'd have to do something with him being on Tatooine and Luke more than anything else. But I've really enjoyed it. Like you said, I think it's a cool characterization. I think it's been a great characterization of Leia. I think that really speaks a lot to her, and kind of when she comes in A New Hope, how like headstrong she is. I mean, seeing already even just her realization of who she is within her own family. And I'm just a sucker for like old man, shepherds young, girl through adventure to try to get her home stories, like Logan, like stuff like that. It's just always good, always a good time.
DDoc, you've ruined it for me. Now I can't unsee Hugh Jackman when I look at Ewan McGregor running around in the desert saving people, and man, that's crazy. I only have one other one to hit on. Brent, go for it.
I was just gonna say, I really like the allegory of the Underground Railroad to basically what was going on. Like, this is exactly kind of the same kind of concept of the Underground Railroad. And to bring back what Alfie was saying, while they're at one stop at the Underground Railroad, they look on the wall and they see the name of a Jedi that Obi-Wan knows pretty well if you've read the Dark Disciple books, and gave him a secret mission to go work with Ventress, and they have spark up a love interest. But Quinlan Vos was named. So is Quinlan Vos just another stop on the Underground Railroad, which we may see in this episode? Or is he just kind of a throwaway nugget for those fan service moments?
DDoc.
I do think he's going to be a character in the show. I know there's one famous actor who's in this show who has not yet been in it. I wouldn't say like the most known actor, but yeah, I don't know. I don't want to spoil because I really don't look into that stuff, but I just think he's going to be in it because there's someone out there who's yet to appear, I'll say.
Ooh.
I know Ice Cube's son is in the show.
I thought you were about to say Ice Cube's in this show.
No, I can't remember his name.
He is
I seriously can't remember his name either, but I don't know if he quite matches my vision of Quinlan. Like,
yeah, I'm not sure yet. I don't know. We'll see. I think he will be though. I caught that line, and these lines are not being put in this show for no reason. I think they're building something here. And I mean, we have 3 more episodes. I think Obi-Wan needs to find that one Jedi who is being a Jedi again out there and fighting this fight and saying, we haven't lost. We can move underground. We can find ways to survive. Like, he just has that we lost mentality. I think he just needs someone for inspiration, as someone who always played the role of being that guy who was the inspiration. Right. I think he needs it still. I mean, I think he's finding that in Leia, but I think he needs to find another Jedi to kind of be like, get your head out of your ass. Maybe, I don't know.
Is that Quinlan Vos though that would do that? Like,
I don't know. When
we finish Dark Disciple, he's like gray, right? Like he doesn't go back to like,
he's kind of
jaded. The Jedi are awesome. I mean, what the hell did I just go through?
They sent him on an assassination mission, right? Like, so I mean, he definitely was not something. I think he became jaded, just like Ahsoka became jaded with it. I'm not sure if he left or not. I can't remember the book, but like, I think he's got reason to leave if he wanted to.
Right. Yeah, the Quinlan Vos for me, that was like the coolest. Like, what? Did he just say Quinlan? Like, that's awesome. And I do hope that he shows up, but at the same point, I wouldn't be surprised if it is just Brent, to your point, something that they scratched on a wall that, I don't know. It would be really cool, especially with Leia being taken by Reva. Is there some sort of, tag team? We get the gang back together, and we go after and catch them.
My last point that I'm going to bring up, and you just said captured by Reva, so it segues into this point. Don't you think they moved a little fast, both Vader and Reva and the Imperial officer? There were like side tunnels or something that was going on, because how does Reva get past Leia? But prior to that, like how Obi-Wan takes off running the other direction, how does Vader come around the sand dune and spark his lightsaber? Because Obi-Wan was running a different direction. So there's a little bit of speed continuity issues. Again, I'm not bashing it, but did anybody else kind of find that to be a little? How did Reva get there so quickly?
She was ahead of him, like ahead of Leia when Leia got there. You're right.
Force speed.
Yeah, but wouldn't Leia feel a brush past her?
Yeah, that's true. She went into the same entrance of the tunnel.
Yes, Maggie, my wife, asked me the same thing. She's like, "How did she get there?" And my only thought was like, the tunnel had to go to like the spaceport. There's only probably one spaceport, right? So maybe she just went there and happenstance.
World between worlds. This is our tie-in. I just wanted to see Brent die a little bit inside. No, you bring up a good point though, and my only, I'm so in on the show. I love it. My only beef has been the two escapes that we've seen now. One on Daiyu where they get on the transport ship and they leave. The other now with them getting away from Vader in the fire. I feel like they've both been a little weak or chintzy or just kind of like, dang, they got away. I guess we'll go get them again. Like I don't think that's stopping Vader. Yeah, like if you can move as fast as you can, like you extinguished the fire a few minutes ago so that the stormtroopers could walk through.
Right. He lit it on fire and then he put it down, and then fire comes back. He couldn't just put it down again and walk over it.
Yeah. I will say that the imagery of that shot was worth it right there.
Oh my God.
Vader again looking through the flames. Oh.
Well, don't forget earlier in the episode, Obi-Wan was looking at a laser gate that he decided to shoot it on rather than just walk around the other side of it. How about that stormtrooper getting cut in half on that too? When the stormtrooper fell on that was like, I was like,
Grizzly.
Damn. Yeah.
Grizzly. Well, hey, we've been going for a while. I have one more question, and this is projecting to the future of where we're going. We've seen 3 episodes now where Obi-Wan has been trying to talk to Qui-Gon and he's not heard anything. Surely we're going to see or hear Liam Neeson at some point, right? You say no.
I don't think so. I mean, here's one of those things. Everyone's expecting it, right? And when I was on with Duchess, I asked, how angry will people be if they don't get it? And we're getting the 3rd episode, and I guarantee you, if you listen to other podcasts, if you look at the social media, there's a lot of people that are saying, where's Qui-Gon? Where's Qui-Gon? Why can't he talk to Qui-Gon? Right? Like, it'll come. I think it might come, again, when he becomes hello there, that's when he's going to commune with Qui-Gon. And I don't know if it's going to take Qui-Gon talking to him or him, whatever, maybe Quinlan Voss kicking him in the pants and getting him back into the Obi-Wan that we know. But right now he's not that guy. And no, it makes sense that he can't commune with him because he's not really practiced. Mm-hmm. I just don't think it'll happen. And I'm waiting for the meltdown if it doesn't.
I want it so bad. I really do.
The meltdown, or you want him to actually see it?
No, I'm waiting for the meltdown of the fan community that it doesn't happen because Liam doesn't want to do it.
Twitter is going to light itself on fire. What do you mean Liam doesn't want to do it? Liam was back for the Clone Wars.
I look, and he's also supposed supposed to be voicing a character in one of the ones that they talked about in Celebration. Like him and his son are voicing. It's one of the stories. I think it's the Ahsoka story, or it's based on him as a kid.
Oh, the Tales of a Jedi.
Him and it. Yeah, him like Liam Neeson and Liam Neeson's son are playing the voice of Qui-Gon in that series.
Wow.
But I mean, I'm sure he'll be there, but I'm waiting for the Twitter meltdown. Like that, like there might be some joy in my heart for that if that happens.
Some men just want to watch the world burn, and that is you.
That's what I was gonna say.
Brent Diamond.
Michael Caine in The Dark Knight. Some people just want to watch the world burn. That's Brent right now.
Yeah, that's Brent. Eating popcorn, watching the flames erupt, and the hate just spew all over the place. Sam, were you gonna say something?
Maybe. Now I don't remember.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
I haven't slept very much. I'm new to this.
You're on borrowed time right now.
I'm doing like 3 hours, 4 hours a night.
When Maggie comes down in 6 hours and says, "Are you still in the podcast?" Just leave your headphones on, and she'll still think that you're talking and going on. But guys, we've gone for a long time. It's getting late, but I'm curious. Final thoughts as we go around. Another great episode, but DDoc, you want to hit us up?
Yeah. I'm really enjoying the show. I'm really enjoying everybody who's in it. If there's ever been a time I hated Twitter or anything more, it's right now. So, I mean, I'm going to double off what Brent said. There's a lot of nasty stuff going on out there, and it just makes me sad because Star Wars is what makes me happy. So, you know, as Ewan McGregor said, we disassociate with that crap. Twitter is toxic right now, and I'm not enjoying it. It's the first time I've ever wanted to consider just being like, I don't even want to be on there, but I make my plumbing stuff and I like to talk Star Wars on there. But believe it or not, there's people complaining that Darth Vader was not ruthless enough in that episode. If you think about all the stuff that we talked about. So
I feel bad for saying I like the neck snap. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. You animals.
I think people are nitpicking just to piss people off. And that's why I take it with a grain of salt. But, you know, I'm not letting it. I'm really zoning out negative energy. I'm really enjoying the show. I mean, this is a childhood thing, same as you guys. I mean, I'm a kid of the prequels. And I mean, I'm just still pinching myself that we're seeing Ewan McGregor in new Obi-Wan Kenobi content on the screen. I'm going to enjoy this time while we have it. I'm not going to nitpick. I'm just going to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's good. Brent, final thoughts.
My final thoughts are very similar to the way that I felt when Moff Gideon took baby Grogu. How the hell are we going to get Leia back? And you better not touch a hair on that child's head. Because right now, I'm kind of like, I think she's become the baby Grogu, the baby Leia show. I think I saw a meme that was, somebody created a meme and it was like, Obi-Wan, and it was like him and her, and it was like Obi, she said Wan, Kenobi, and then it was like the show, and she said the baby Leia show, right? Like it's becoming the baby Leia show, and you better not harm a hair on her head. I want to know how they get her back, and that's kind of where I'll leave it. My last thought.
That's good, Sam.
Wednesday can't come soon enough. I'm excited. Yeah, I was kind of hoping that she would make it home in this episode, baby Leia, and then we could be like, hey, thanks for setting this up. Go be safe. Now I'm gonna be stressed next week, but that's okay. Yeah, just loving it so far. Excited to get a little bit more. To pack on one more complaint. I hope they release this show on like Blu-ray someday, since they don't seem to do that with shows anymore. Oh, specifically Disney, not anybody else. Other people still do, but again, free money, whatever.
Yeah.
But why would you want that?
You heard it here first, Disney. Quit being so selfish and put this out on Blu-ray.
Because you could cancel your Disney Plus subscription if you have it on Blu-ray.
You're not gonna do that.
But I wouldn't.
There's new stuff coming out.
Believe me,
you could.
The general public probably won't, but I can guarantee you the people are thinking, I would rather get your $4 a month than your $24 one time.
That's true. Yeah,
I know Joe wants that last season of Clone Wars very badly to put on his shelf. So
just so he can look at it and just leave it there and dig his Blu-ray player out someday. Guys, as we wrap this up, I watched an interview today with Ewan McGregor. at Celebration where he was talking about he said something to the effect of, if they had asked us to make this show back in like 2005 when Revenge of the Sith came out, I would have said no, because of how and I think it ties into what you guys are talking about too, but from the critics' response to the prequels, he was like, it was just toxic. And I didn't really want it. He said it was disappointing, to see how it got, his words were, to get poo-pooed on, for it. And he said, watching over all these years, the buildup of love in this community for these characters, I think Hayden Christensen's actually an even better example of, I was referring to him the other day to my dad as like the prodigal son is back, of Star Wars, and he's being welcomed back in. He's at Celebration saying, this is where the fun begins. And the whole arena loses its mind. To me, it's like a piece of my childhood is back, and it's beautiful and awesome. And all those people on Twitter could suck eggs because it freaking rocks and is great. So, guys, thank you for another great show tonight. Thank you to everyone who listened tonight and put up with the hosting that happened tonight. Appreciate you guys. If you don't follow us already on Twitter, follow us at Rule the Galaxy SW. We're on Facebook at Rule the Galaxy, so make sure you tell your mom to go follow us on Facebook there. We are, if you have any questions or you say, hey, we want to talk, I'd love it if you talk more about this or stop talking about this, you can email us at ruletheGalaxySW@gmail.com. And for now, that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening to us. May the Force be with you.